Those are expired.
Goose egg.
Yeah. I'll say so.
None of them.
I don't like this.
Isn't that awesome?
That's great. That's a good
We
start.
just finished tracking, and they're making a lot of dials and a lot of calls and a lot of contacts, but not a lot of appointments.
No.
And I got another question. Where do you see yourself getting the most results? What would be more impactful for you to jump into Fsbos or expireds?
I think.
Like what?
Yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah, because they
expired.
really want to sell their house already.
You getting more phone numbers, more opportunities with expired listings?
The for sale by owners are getting multiple offers, just like, you know,
Like
being on
everybody
MLS right now.
They're not having trouble.
And I'm guessing you blocked off about 30 minutes or so for this, is that right?
For this call,
Yep.
we blocked off about an hour.
All right, excellent. So let's just jump into it. I'm going to start with expireds. If we have more time, we'll get into Fsbos. A little background about me. I started in the real estate business 12 years ago. We still have a pretty large business today. I have 3 agents. Me and my brother work together. And the way we built our business is calling expireds and for sale by owners religiously in 2009. That's all we did. We didn't have a network. We didn't have a sphere. The market was very different. Not like it is today where it's a crazy seller's market. It was more of a buyer's market. So what we did is we would call and call and call, and eventually we developed skills. And my brother actually has a FSBO call on YouTube that has over 100,000 views because people could start to see we would put out content that was real, unedited it, and you could actually see the failures and everything you deal with is like, you know, all the negative things that people say, you got to hear it and see it on the videos. So today we're going to talk about expired specifically. So I got my expired here. And the first thing I want to start is with mindset. So how long have, and this is open-ended, whoever wants to answer, how long have you been calling expired listings?
A month,
Yeah.
A month?
ever since Stephanie made us.
All right. So let's talk about some of that mindset. And I know my area is greater Boston, maybe a little bit different than your area. But when you call Fsbos, you have to have a mindset. You have to put yourself in their shoes, right? You're calling to help, but you got to realize this is a person that put their home in the market. And everybody's hearing that it's a super hot seller's market, but for one reason or another, their home didn't sell. So they're frustrated, disappointed, maybe even embarrassed. But they're also raised their hand and showed that they want to sell their home. So you have to be aggressive. Okay, so you have to call first, you have to call last, and you have to call often. You also have to match their frustration and instantly separate yourself from the first second that you get on the phone call. Because remember, I don't know how your market is. Are they getting a lot of phone calls right now or no?
It sounds like they are.
They are. I don't feel like they're getting as many calls even as they were a year ago, or it feels like, you know, people took time off from calling during COVID and they are getting calls, but they're not, you know, as belligerent. They're not getting 100 calls a day. They might be getting 10.
So a great way to start would be like, hey, it's Arthur with DNA Realty Group. I'm giving you a quick call because I noticed your home came off the market. Is that true? And they may be like, yes, it is true. And who is this person? Because now you use the script that's a little bit different from everybody else. Okay. And then you have to have the right mindset. And I think one of the biggest things is calling first. Okay. You want to be first because if people are starting to call them and they're getting 3, 4, 5 phone calls, that last or the 6th person is going to be like, dude, you're the 25th person that's calling me. And if you're that person, you're going to say, really? Am I the 25th? Or are you going to try to make a joke out of it? Oh, I'm glad that many people are calling you. I'm calling to sell your home, right? So you want to switch that around. But to avoid that objection entirely, you want to be one of the first people that call, okay? Because if I'm the 5th caller and Stephanie's the 1st caller, she probably already had a great conversation and he's probably pissed off by the time I call him. Make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Then you got to remember the rule of 33. And this is a rule I made up. It's not an actual rule, but I found it to be true. So 33% of the expired listings will list right away. 33 will list within the next 3 to 6 months. So you need a good follow-up campaign. And 33% are those old expireds that may never list for years to come. I mean, everybody sells eventually. So you want to be aggressive for the first 33 and you want to have a good follow-up campaign for the next 33%. Okay. The next thing is I want you to be different and be sharp. I like the Mike Ferry scripts. You could actually go on his websites and get those scripts, and they're super direct. But what I want you to do is I want you to study the questions that are in those scripts. And those questions are tools in your toolbox. So you don't have to call people with the same script every time. And Stephanie may frown on this because she probably teaches big scripts. But here's the truth of the matter is, you want to have the scripts in your head like tools in a toolbox, but don't be reading a script because it's going to sound super linear. And don't be at the point where you're not listening to the expired. Because what you want to do is you want to connect and build a rapport. Because if I have the right questions to ask and the right answers for every objections they may have, we could have a real conversation as opposed to me reading a script. So when you see those Mike Ferry scripts, it's like a list of questions. Did your home not sell? If you did sell your home, where were you planning to go next? But don't go like that. Use them as tools in a toolbox. So if a person is telling you how they're frustrated and they're going through a divorce, you may go a little bit off script and listen to them and connect with them. And when you do, you're going to build a stronger rapport. And when you do that, you're going to be able to convert them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So the 3 points that I want you to consider for every call. Don't get off the call without setting appointments. Okay. So you're either going to set an appointment to follow up or talk to them again. Then I want you to think about this. For every single call, you're thinking about getting an appointment. And that's how most people call Fsbos and expireds. And that's the problem. There's 3 opportunities there. One is I'm going to get an appointment to follow up with you. 2 is I could get a lead or referral out of you. If we had a great conversation and you're not ready to sell, oh, by the way, it's a super hot real estate market. Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate right now? And I've gotten a ton of referrals from people who I've never done business with. So now you have 2 opportunities. Okay, it's a conversation, and you ask for an appointment. They said no. Then you ask for a referral. Maybe if you have a good enough rapport, they'll give it to you. And number 3, anybody want to guess what the number 3 is? It's a database addition. It's an opportunity to put that person that make them become your sphere of influence. And that's true for both FSBO and expireds. And now when you call with those 3 strategies, not every call is a failure because you didn't get an appointment. Because you might have not got an appointment, but you might have got a referral. Or if you didn't get a referral, you now got a database addition of somebody you could follow up with. All right? Remember, the follow-up is key here because 33% of the group will not list for 3 to 6 months. So tell me, are you making initial calls or are you following up? You can just raise your hand and give me a thumbs up or talk.
Yeah.
Following up? Everybody's following up?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. So next we're going to jump into the follow-up plan. I want you to keep it super simple. I say KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? Are you utilizing thank you notes for the follow-ups?
Utilizing what?
Notes.
Thank you notes for the follow-up?
Yeah.
Excellent. Every appointment we used to go on, we would send them a thank you note. And even if I had a great conversation, I would send them a thank you note. Believe it or not, there's been so many listing appointments when I showed up and there was my thank you note on the counter. And I was like, I got this listing. People appreciate the thank you note, the handwritten thank you note, not an automatic mailer, not a postcard, but a handwritten thank you note, because they know no matter how busy you are, you took the time to write that note. New expireds call every single week. Okay, so most people, I just read the statistics to my team in our team meeting this morning, will follow up 3 times, okay, to get the business. That's 90% of salespeople. 90% of sales take place after the 5th follow-up all the way up to the 12th follow-up. And I went through all of our under contracts today. We have like over 12 under agreement right now. And most of those clients have been in that database for over a year or 2. So remember, it's not just about the initial conversion. It's also about building that database and building that pipeline for future business. Because who here would be happy if they had 10 closings for expireds? Now, would you be just as happy if that takes 90 days to 6 months to generate? Yeah. And most people in real estate have a super short mindset where they're thinking like, get a listing onto the next one, get a listing onto the next one. But I want you to consider building that pipeline over time. Does that make sense? And that's a big mindset shift because you got to remember, you got to offer value to people at where they're at. So 33% are frustrated, they want to sell and they have a reason to sell now. And that's going to be pretty competitive. They'll probably interview 3 people. And then you got 33% that are going to be doing it in 3 to 6 months. And if you're the only agent following up, it's going to be a come list me. They're going to call and say, hey, I'm ready for you to come list my house, because you're the only one sending them thank you notes. Follow up. And then I had what I used to talk to Stephanie about, a true definition of a lead. And here's the thing, you don't want to follow up with everybody. So I came up with a true definition of a lead. And here it is. Point number 1, you have correct contact information. That's phone number, email, and hopefully address. Number 2, they have real motivation to buy or sell real estate. Okay? Not I would just put it on the market to sell my house. I wanted to test the market. Number 3, they're willing to do business within a 12 months time frame. Anything longer than that, you could add them, but that's going to be a while before you see the results. Okay, so you want to follow up with the hot leads. If you need me to slow down, you could say it. Everybody get the first 3 points?
Mhm.
Yes.
All right, excellent. Number 2 is opportunity to do business with us. And simply what the question is when you decide to list your home, do you have a close family member or a friend that you feel obligated to list with? The reason why we ask that question is because some for sale by owners and expireds are super high eyes if you study the DISC assessment, and they'll talk to you and they'll be friendly with you, and they'll never tell you that their mom's in real estate. And you've been following up for 12 months and like, oh yeah, we're ready to list with our mother because she's in real estate. I forgot to tell you. Okay, so do you have a close friend or family in the business that you feel obligated to list with? Now you don't have to have a huge pipeline. You could eliminate some of the people you're following up with. Okay. And the last point for the definition of a true lead is a seller directed follow-up. And that's another question. Again, these are all scripts and questions. When should I follow up with you? And they're going to say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months, whatever number they tell you, cut it in half. Because if you wait till then, you're going to call them and they'll be listed. Okay. So if they tell you 6 months, you're going to call them in how long?
3.
3, exactly. And you need to start putting them in the database. If they're interviewing other agents, ask when your last appointment is. If you get the first 33, and then make sure you set an appointment to come out there as the last person, not the first one. So they don't tell you that they're waiting to hear from other people. I want to take a break here and open it up for some questions and make sure so far we're getting good content out of this. So any questions?
Question?
Not yet.
All right, excellent. All right, and then let's handle some objections for the expired listings. If they ask about cutting commission, just simply say, if we agree on a commission, would you be willing to hire me today? Okay? Never discuss commission on the phone. Always try to get the appointment. Okay? The other script you could use is ask them if they're already willing to pay a commission if you bring them a buyer. How many people have buyers for sellers because it's a hot real estate market? Great. So Stephanie, if I brought you a buyer today, would you pay me a 3% buyer agency fee?
Sure.
All right, excellent. Now, when she says that, in my notes, I'm going to write that in because when I meet Stephanie, I know that I only have to convince her to pay the other 3% it hires to list because she's already paying out the 3%. So it's a lot easier to convince them. Be like, Stephanie, you're already paying out 3%. How would you like to get all of my marketing, my negotiations, my 12 years experience for just an additional 3%? So you see how I separate the two instead of saying it's a 5 or a 6% commission? And then also, if I fight this hard for your money, imagine how hard I'll fight if I fight this hard for my money, imagine how hard I'll fight for your money when we're in a negotiation with another agent. So this is if they're telling you that your percentage is a little bit higher, or if you could reduce your commission. So I like to end expireds with this. The money is made in lead generation, but the real big money is made in the lead follow-up. It's all about building relationships and beefing up that database, not just about the short-term transaction. And remember, consistency and persistence. Be aggressive, scripts, study your scripts, and follow up every single day. If you do that, you're going to land more expired listings than anybody else in your market. But the last point is consistency, consistency, consistency. Because a lot of people start making calls for expired Fsbos. They don't get results because they don't have the skills or the follow-up. Then they give up and they say it doesn't work. But I have this quote, everything works, nothing doesn't. But you have to work it. And usually you have to work it for a minimum of 6 months before you see results. And really the true benefit of whatever you start today, whatever marketing or calls you start today, is going to come to fruition in about 18 months. And most agents quit long before then. So the reason why we were so successful with expired and for sale by owners early on in our career is because we were the most persistent. We had no other choice. We just kept calling. We had no other source of business. We had no marketing money. Do you guys get leads from the company? Who provides those leads? Big boss? Imagine not having leads. You have no choice but to call expireds and for sale by owners. If you have a situation where you got Stephanie giving you leads and then you're calling on top of that, now you got 2 sources, 2 pillars, 2 incomes. And that compounds because every lead is a tree. It's a referral source or opportunity to do business with a client in the future. And remember, those expireds and Fsbos are going to turn into future referral sources. And that's really the value of the client. It's not just that one transaction, it's that repeat referral. 5 to 7 years from now, they're going to buy and they're going to sell again. And then if you did a phenomenal job and you helped them sell when somebody else couldn't, you're going to be getting that listing. And when you get that listing and they're buying a bigger house, that's 2 commissions. What's your average price point in this market?
We're almost 300.
Almost 300. Usually when people upsize, what do they buy when they sell that $300,000 house?
5, right?
Yeah.
So imagine 3 to 5 years that Fsbo or expired calling you back and saying, I'm ready to sell my $300,000 house and buy a $500,000 house. That's $800,000 in volume in one fell swoop.
Mm-hmm.
And are a lot of your expireds in your market needing to buy something?
Yeah.
So you're getting 2 right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
2 potential transactions. So those calls are super critical, but again, it's all about consistency and longevity. That's all I have for expired listings today. So I want to open it up and see if anybody has any challenges or questions about expired listings specifically.
Can you just really quick explain the importance of tracking?
Yes. Tracking is super important. And what do we track? We track, I always made all my coaching clients track and my agents track the hours they spend on the phone, actually working, the contacts they made. If you're using a dialer, you don't have to track the calls, but the dialer does it automatically. The appointments you set, and then the listings that you take, okay? The reason why it's so important is when you coach or get help, we, by looking at your numbers, can say exactly where you're doing good, where you need help. So for example, you could call 10 people and get an appointment. You have really strong scripts. But if it takes 150 people to get one appointment, then we need to help you work on your scripts on the phone or making sure you're calling good qualified sellers. Okay, so just by those 2 numbers, I could tell exactly where you need help. Now, if you're going on 10 appointments a week and you're getting 1, then we have a presentation issue. Mm-hmm. But if you don't track your numbers and you're getting appointments and you're not getting listings, but you don't have your numbers, we don't know why, right? Because I don't know that you went on 10 appointments. But if you're getting every appointment that you go on, you have a really strong presentation and you have to make sure that you're getting in front of people. So maybe you go on less qualified appointments because you're so strong face to face. That's why tracking the numbers is so uber important, because if you know where your weaknesses are, you could work on that to correct them. Okay. But if you have no idea what your numbers are, you just say, hey, I'm not getting appointments. And I can say, okay, how many people do you call a day? Like, I don't know. Okay, well, I can't help you. But if you say I'm calling 10 people a day and I'm getting 1 appointment, but I want to get 2 appointments a day, all you got to do is double your numbers. Call 20 people a day. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I do.
He can hear you, or unless you
Can
want
you hear
to.
me?
Yeah, you can hear Megan, right?
Yep.
So how do you track your follow-ups? Like, I know, like, we use a system, but it's hard to find your follow-up. So I like make notes on my planner, but that's not the way to go.
Keep it simple. Stupid. So if you spend an hour calling, just write a little check mark, one conversation. So now you spend the next hour follow-up and you talk to somebody, check mark in your planner. 2, check mark. 3,
How do you track who you should
follow
check
up with
with,
and
who
like
you are
when?
following up
Like,
with?
Do you make
So-
a from your?
I write it on an index card.
do you have a CRM that you use?
That's me.
Yes.
What CRM do you use?
We use Buffini,
Referral maker.
referral maker.
Do you put these clients in there or no? Okay, so then I would follow up. I like the index card idea. The more simple, the more you're gonna use it.
Mhm.
So just make a list on a spreadsheet, name, phone number, email, and a note, talk to them.
Another
Call at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And then just move it on the spreadsheet to the next one, have week 2 follow-up. And make sure you don't give yourself too many, like 5 or 10 people a day, maybe 20. But if you start making 20 conversations a day and then you got 20 follow-ups a day and you're starting to get busy, you're not gonna do it. So make sure you spread them out where you it's something that anybody can do, like a minimum of 5 a day or whatever it may be for you. Maybe you do 5, or 10 follow-ups 3 days a week, and you can be consistent with that. Then you can build on it.
Okay.
Excellent question.
Mhm.
Anything else?
What do you do with the people that you're adding to your database? Like, are you just writing them handwritten notes? Are you like, at what point would
Email.
you transition them to a referral maker to do something?
Good question.
I got muted.
Oh, shit, sorry.
So excellent question. I love it. So referral maker, in our business, we use referral maker too, and we use Boomtown. We only put people in referral maker if they transacted with us, listed with us, or have referred us. Or if we really have a strong relationship that I know they'll refer me, it's only a matter of time. Other than that, we send them notes, emails, texts, and calls. So just basically you're gonna spread those 4 or 5 activities out and see what, everybody's different. So you wanna make sure you treat them based how they wanna be treated.
Okay.
Excellent. Anybody else?
I don't have expired questions.
No. Do you want questions about other things like for sale by owners?
No, we're gonna jump into for
Okay.
sale by owners
Okay.
next.
Okay,
I'll see this.
Got it.
I think, for next time.
I think that's it on expireds, right?
Yeah.
In general.
For sale by owners, the mindset is it's tough right now. How many of them are selling in your market right now? Right away.
A good amount, yeah, a pretty good amount.
Most of them are selling.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's tough because usually the for sale by owners, what we used to do is be patient. So instead of being aggressive, we'd be patient because 80 to 90% of them will end up listing and selling with an agent statistically. But now that it's such a strong seller's market, a lot of them are selling on their own, which is tough. So you want to add value. If you have a buyer, that's a great way of adding value. If I brought you a qualified buyer today, Megan, would you transact with me and then try to double-sided transaction without even listing it? That's a great way to attack for sale by owners. We have like 4 or 5 under agreement right now that are off-market deals that are like that. So that's a great approach. So basically you would say, hey, Stephanie, like say she's a for sale by owner. Why are you selling on your own? So tell me.
Save money.
Okay, excellent. So if I brought you a qualified buyer today, would you show it? Are you paying a buyer agency fee?
We are paying a buyer's agent's commission.
Great. I'd love to come out, take a look at your house, especially if you're good face to face. I'm not going to try. And remember, if you're not getting a listing appointment, don't try to present to them. I'm not going to try to present to you. I just want to come look at your house to see if it's a good fit for my buyers. And now you got an appointment to see them. If you're not going on enough appointments, it's great to get in front of people because what else are you doing? All right. So I'm just calling to see where you plan to move to when you sell your house. It's a great question. Okay.
What is it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just calling to see where you're planning to move to once you sell the house. Because for sale by owners have to buy, and you could ask them, do you have a buyer's agent? The reason why I'm calling is to see if you're a good fit for one of my listings, and I do this for all of my sellers. So now you're adding value. They're like, wow, this person calls all of his sellers. And then if they're looking to buy, in what area, you could ask, do you have a buyer's agent? Because that could be a referral opportunity or an opportunity for whoever works with buyers on your team. It doesn't cost them anything to have a buyer's agent, right?
No.
No.
You could also soften the call by saying, hey, I'm not calling to take your listing. I'm just calling to see if I can help you by bringing you a qualified buyer. Okay. And the other mindset is it's nurture, right? You try to pre-qualify them by asking them the right questions. So on the first call, I would say, if I brought you a qualified buyer, would you pay me a buyer agency fee? And then you could ask them, how much are you paying out? And remember what I said earlier, if they're paying out 3%, it's easy to convince them to pay out their 6%. Why are you moving usually gets them talking, or where are you moving to? That's an excellent question, an excellent tool in the toolbox. How long are you going to try to sell your home before considering other options? That's a great one to figure out that time frame. And remember, you're going to cut it in half. Again, the question is, how long are you going to try to sell on your own before considering any other options? And remember, with Fsbos, it's super important to ask this question. Do you have a close family or friends in the business that you feel obligated to list with? Because those high eyes will talk to you and let you follow up. And they'll never list with you, but they'll give you the impression that they will. And now you got them in your campaign and you're following up, not knowing that you can never take that listing. Okay. Now, another excellent question, because it's all about the scripts you use and the words we say. If I could show you a way that I could net you more money, would you ever say no to that? And they're going to be like, no. Great. I'd like to spend 10 to 15 minutes of your time to sit down with you and show you how I can make you more money than you ever could on your own. And then you hit them with your marketing plan. And you have to have a really good listing presentation, right? Because what I'm noticing, and you can say this on the phone, is I'm realizing a lot of for sale by owners, because the market's so hot, are selling and not realizing that they're leaving money on the table. So on average, a for sale by owner, statistics show, you could look this up on NAR, get 10 to 15% less than an equal property listed and sold by a real estate professional. So if I charge you 6%, but get you 15% more money, that means you're technically losing a good chunk of change. 9% to be exact, if I did my math right. My accounting days, right? So if I could get you 9 or even 5% more than you could on your own while I do all the work, would you want to learn more about that? Who's going to say no to that? When can I get in there to preview a home for potential buyers? That's a great, easy way to get a listing appointment. But the caveat to that is never, ever, ever do that and then do a listing presentation, because that's how you kill rapport instantly. But if you want to get a listing appointment, I'm going to give you a nugget, a script I made up that's beautiful and super easy to use, right? So you call, you have a good conversation, great rapport. They're like, yeah, bring me a buyer. Okay. Then you ask when I get in there to preview for potential buyers. They get set an appointment. They're like, come on this day. And you're like, okay, great. Now, Stephanie, since I'm going to be out there anyways, why don't we kill two birds with one stone? And I can show you what we do for marketing and negotiation. That way, even if you choose not to hire me, at least you'll know what a top agent in your market that sells hundreds of homes does differently than anybody else. So now you just got permission to present. Okay? If they say no, say that's fine. I'll just come look for the buyer. But if they say yeah, excellent. Okay? So make sure. Since I'm going to be out there, let's kill two birds with one stone. It'll only take 15 minutes for me to show you my marketing plan. If they don't want that, that's okay. But if they want it, now you got permission. So remember, if you're going in there just for the buyer, don't ever, ever, ever do a listing presentation without getting permission. Okay. Other ideas for Fsbos that are unique, we could help you. They may help you. So host an open house. Say, hey, I'll offer to do an open house for you. And any buyers that I get from the open house that don't want to buy your house, I could get them. Because what are they doing with that list of open house buyers? Right now you got a list of buyers. We covered thank you notes and handwritten thank you notes. Even you could add a $5 Starbucks gift card. That's a huge one. If you had a great rapport and you're competing on a listing, nobody else sent them a note. You send them a note with a $5 Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts gift card. That's going to be like, okay, I was going to go with these 3 agents, but Stephanie just sent me a $5 Starbucks gift cards. You're not going to do that for every person you meet, but if you think you're competing and they're going to sleep on it and you couldn't close the deal, that little nugget will be the difference between you getting it versus the other person. Be the last person standing. In 8 to 10 weeks, most new Fsbos will relist with an agent if they're not sold. You want to be the agent they call. That's what we call a come list me. You're the only one still following up in 8 to 10 weeks. Every other agent gave up. And now, if you can be persistent, you're going to get that business. Okay? So Fsbos are different in the sense it's more of a nurturing business than expired. It's more of aggressive business. But remember, markets change, and when they do, if you're making the calls right now and building those skill sets, you're going to be ahead of all the other agents that start calling Fsbos and expireds when the market is conducive to it. Okay? That's pretty much all I had for material. So I'll stick around. I see we have 5 more minutes left if anybody has any questions.
Well, whenever I've had somebody when I called up for solar owner and they were basically their objection is, well, houses are selling so fast. I already have a lot of showings. So I don't really think I need to have you over to look at my house. I'm pretty sure I'm going to sell it myself. And then I'll say like, okay, well, it's okay if I follow up in, 3 to 5 days, whatever the days that I tell them after, if I notice it's still in the market. And then they're like, oh, sure, that's fine. But they're already getting showings, you know what I mean? By the time I feel like I'm in touch with them.
Do you have any buyers for those potential sellers in your market?
Some of them, yeah. So I could try the whole preview for them thing for all of those, I guess. Like, great, I'm glad you have showings. Can I get on the showing list too?
And I'm not your broker, so I don't want to advise you in any way, but I don't know if you guys do this, but off-market deals, like if you don't list it and you still get them to pay you a full fee, it's not all that bad.
Yeah,
Not all that hard to do.
true.
Yeah. I think also really sharing with them that a lot of these for sale owners come back on the market. So it's not hard to sell a house right now, but it's hard to keep it under contract and get it to
That's a
close.
good point. That's a
true.
great point.
And are you certain that you're getting the maximum dollar for your property? Because a lot of people are going over there, right? What does it hurt you 15 to 20 minutes just to meet with me to make sure that you're actually priced correctly and not underpriced?
Mhm.
That's an excellent approach to get into these for sale by owners.
Yeah. Is it bad to ask them, if you receive multiple offers, how do you plan to handle that? Are you just
Right.
because outside of pricing, there are a lot of things that could make the sale a lot easier for you. Do you know what they are? And they're like,
Mhm. Loan
do I
terms
find out?
and
Yeah,
that
things
they're
like
not
that.
familiar
That's
with.
a good point.
Most transactions with for sale by owners fall apart the first time. And most of the lawsuits in real estate are for people dealing directly with each other without having real estate agents. So that's something they may not be aware of. So it may not hurt 15 minutes to realize it only costs you 2 to 3% to get a professional to represent you.
Okay.
And potentially you could get them all the money, more money than they could on their own while you're doing all of the work. So what's your time worth? Are you working full time and then have kids and now you're spending 10 to 15 hours a week trying to sell this house?
Yeah. Either to show it.
If I could save you time and money, which is what everybody wants, would you meet me 15 minutes? And again, especially if you have a great presentation and you're good in person, do that all day long. Even if you meet with 5 Fsbos to get a 1, it's worth it.
True.
Great question, Shelby.
Thanks.
Anything else? I'll finish off with this. You got to be persistent and you got to be consistent. And it's really all about the follow-up. All of the money in real estate is made by the follow-up. But the skill sets that you're generating from expireds and Fsbos is going to help you in your business forward in the future for as long as you sell real estate or do anything else. Because when you get leads or internet leads or marketing leads or leads from Stephanie, and you've converted a cold expired lead or a Fsbo lead, you're going to be like, this is easy money. I crush these internet leads. And what I find is my agents, the newer ones that never had to call expires and for sale by owners, tend to struggle with any kind of leads because there's not as much rejections and there's not as much frustration and there's not as much skill set that is needed to convert some of the leads that you get nowadays with the internet and Zillow, if you use that, and all the other sources. But when you learn to convert an expired in a FSBO, you can eat for the rest of your life, because you literally can go to any market at any time, and as long as there's old expireds and old FSBOs, you could pick up the phone, make X amount of calls, and get an appointment. So it's a really powerful thing, and really powerful in business. Like for me, knowing that if all my agents left and I had to move, where are you ladies from? Virginia? To Virginia to start over, and I had no money and no business plan, I would instantly get on the phone and start calling expireds and FSBOs. Because once you could build that business once, you could do it again and again and again. Last year, we did over 35 million in volume, which is not the best. It's not the worst. It was a small team, 3 people. This year with our 3 agents, I'm guessing we'll do double that, probably triple. So it all started with expireds and FSBOs. So remember, you just want to be consistent, and you can literally make as much money as you want. And people in Virginia are nice. If you try to call in Boston, you'll hear.
That was one
horrible.
last thing that I wanted you to maybe remind everyone, that no one in this room in our room is going to offend someone on the phone. Like, imagine if you guys were calling